The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavioral loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. The way you react to this title is very rich ego territory. There's likely a moral aversion to the claim at hand, because the sentence that the innocent must suffer for the highest good sounds like the perfect way to justify the most horrendous crimes of human history. It sounds like something a warlord would say, or a priest, or somebody who justifies, torture. Something in the sentence, though, strikes as kind of wise. Like there's this weird disconnect between feeling that there must be something true about it, dangerously so, because reality itself does not exempt the innocent from suffering. Existence itself appears to be structured in such a way that innocence does not protect you from consequences, predation, decay, transformation, or sacrifice. If you look at how I'm approaching my YouTube titles, I am always not just trying to bait you in, I'm claiming something and I'm stating it as a fact that goes beyond the opinion of my own mind. I'm making the claim that this is how reality is like, and what you want to have is the courage to look why and in which way. Because I'm not talking about how humans should organize our society here. It's the deeper claim about the structure of existence itself, of reality itself, at least in this universe. But before I'm going to explain this in this video, I want to know what you think. What is your gut reaction when you're confronted with this idea that the innocent must suffer for the highest good? Where does your intuition go? You can pause the video and write it in the comment section, because I'd be genuinely interested in, your contemplation. And if you feel contemplative for today, this is way more useful than to just me giving you the answers, because I can feed you the answers, but it is very valuable to dissect these ideas for yourself first. But I'm certain that if you don't do this and just, listen along, you're probably not just going to take everything I say at first value anyway, because if so, you wouldn't be here. Innocence is a byproduct of something free of fault, free of sin, free of ill will or desire to harm. Something that is pure and not corrupted by, selfish desire. Something that is kind, loving, and pure-hearted. The symbolic example of innocence is a lamb. And lamb sacrifices have been a part of thousands of cultures and thousands of religions throughout human history, which is kind of weird, isn't it? And I do think that these, sacrifices that we did for some imaginary gods or nature were very silly and unnecessary, and more fueled by superstition and, these lower states of consciousness where you think that sacrificing innocence literally does change the nature of existence somehow, or change your own personal gain. And it seems just purely born out of crazy superstition or just some religious madness from like modern day standards, but it seems to want to tap into something more fundamental here. You have to ask, what is the nature of innocence, and why does it feel like that sacrificing it is somehow necessary? Innocent beings that suffer in this world, in the animal kingdom, are endless. The animal kingdom is full of beings that get born and then are confronted with a world of violence, pain, and fear, running from predators and diseases for their own survival. And my empathetic self always felt horrible watching nature documentaries. I always felt like I couldn't understand why, when I was an ex-Christian, like when I was a Christian and then became an ex-Christian, and looking at my older Christian fellows, how they could look at nature and say that this is God's benevolent work. Like, okay, if this is God's creation, then God must also have a very violent mind. And I found it's very easy for most people to just ignore how violent nature is and idealize nature as some sort of wonderful thing. But if you purely take the raw suffering that exists in nature, then a part of you must recognize that there's some sort of tragedy going on. And it's not just, natural instincts in of themselves, because animals like chimpanzees or dolphins, like especially the higher intelligent animals, have a great capacity for cruelty and empathy. So it's not like just the lion killing, the zebra. It is actual animal cruelty done by pure need to overpower and control other beings. And I always felt that if this is how reality is like, then reality likely cannot be benevolent. Like the universe must be somehow evil in a way. Or it shouldn't be possible that this just exists without a reason. This should not exist. And here comes a lot of, existential seeking, philosophical need to look for the answer of why we exist in the first place. And I'm going to come to that later in this video too, covering a lot of ground here. So if you follow this thought line here, if you say violence towards innocence should not exist, what is the actual consequence of, making this true? Like on a cosmic level, not on a societal level, like I said multiple times, and I keep want to clarify. I'm not saying how to organize human society. I'm saying on the cosmological level, like on how reality is like. If you were to make a place where this is impossible, like existentially impossible, what are the consequences of this? You cannot separate existence with violence. If you remove the ability for anything to be hurt, now you remove the ability of biological life form altogether. If you couldn't feel pain, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If our entire biological and cultural history wasn't fueled by bloodshed and cruelty, then the exact circumstances of us here right now communicating with each other wouldn't exist how they exist right now. And if you rebel against your own existence and say, yeah, exactly, this is why I don't want it to be the case. I don't want to be forced to suffer in a world like this, even if I've done nothing wrong. Then you can keep saying that, but you're not different than the animal, being eaten by the lion. You're not in a special category. You're just intelligent enough to observe what is happening and then rebel against it. But the rebellion is kind of, unhelpful. And as understandable as it is that you really want to fight against it and you really, don't want suffering to be possible, if you were to follow through with this idea, well, in actuality, you would remove everything. You would remove all media, all entertainment, all love. You would remove sex. You would remove language. You would remove everything that we humans appreciate in reality. Because if you go really deep in on this thought, you would actually have to destroy the laws of physics and gravity to make it impossible for a world with biological organisms that can feel pain to exist. You would have to destroy the structure of reality at its root, or at the universe at least, to make it not so grandiose sounding all the time. But because even if you were to blow this entire planet up and destroy all biological life forms, the nature or like the laws of physics and gravity and all quantum mechanics and whatever you want to insert here clearly make it possible for biological life forms to evolve and experience pain. You're fighting against something way more fundamental than just your own personal pain. You are fighting against how the universe actually is like. You are kind of wanting it to be the case that this high sophistication of intelligence and expression is impossible. This is why it feels so existential, because you're going to the root of it all. The fact that anything exists at all, like this world in of itself, proves that true nothingness, true endless extinction is impossible. You would have to make it so that the laws of the universe couldn't appear. And this is quite a battle to fight. It is quite a battle that will cause you mountains of more pain, because it is not a battle that you're going to win. Now, when I say all of this is necessary for the highest good, the word highest good also sounds like a sentence with huge moral loading. And if you're intellectually minded, then you will want to really dissect the concept of how this is really the highest good, and how there could not be something better that we can come up with. And on a relative level, I of course agree with you. You could have a planet that has zero suffering. You could have a world that has almost zero pain. And having the instinct to want to reduce that and remove that is deep wisdom. So again, a friendly reminder, I'm not talking about the relative, I'm talking about the absolute here. And if I claim that, what I'm pointing to is the highest good, then the instinct is this couldn't possibly be an objective claim, right? That it has to be a sort of subjective human assertion about what reality is like. It gets into a ton of friction with spirituality, religions, philosophical belief systems, and it just sounds very, ontological, right? But I'm not asking you to believe me or adopting my philosophy, and I'm also not trying to convince you. All I'm asking you to do is to observe how things are like and then come to your own conclusions. I here want to represent you 3 ways in which you can observe how reality is structured as the highest good with these words. So I'm going to exchange the word the highest good with 3 different words. And depending on your own ego architecture, one framing might resonate more with you than another. But I'm going to explain all 3 of them. So I'll use 3 words to refer to the highest good, and you can see for yourself how your body and mind reacts. And I'm defining my terms. Who can believe that? So the highest good is existence itself. The highest good is freedom. And the highest good is unconditional love. In my analytical non-duality framework, I collapse the distinction of all of these 3, and to me they are all one and the same. But it's fair that depending on how you structured your mind, these are not at all the same to you. And that's completely fair, right? At the end, this is all coming from the way I have integrated and understood all of this stuff. But let me try and help you get behind each of those. So the point is very clear, right? Without innocent suffering, you can't have existence. So without innocent suffering, you can't have freedom. And without innocent suffering, you can't have unconditional love. The nature of these 3 things is very profound, and the word kind of robs it of its profundity. But I think we can use these terms to clarify exactly why I'm not preaching dogma to you. You can verify all of these 3 for yourself. So existence by itself implies everything. For something to exist, you're already in the realm of infinite potential. That's what existence is. It's such a tautological, foundational thing. It's really what truth is, right? If something exists, it just is. It is the truth. It is 1 = 1. You cannot argue against it. When the fist hits your face, you're going to feel the pain. This is what something is like. So existence often connects to the idea that, then the intellectually curious mind asks is, why does something exist rather than nothing? Like, you say that this is the highest good, but couldn't there also be like nothingness? And the way I explained this in my other videos and also on my Substack, which, by the way, I am going to use more of my Substack, and then also the thing that I'm building in the background for like a more private space where I can talk even less filtered than I'm talking here, because like you can see, what I'm doing is quite contentious. So I'm building a very serious private space to build on these existential ideas and to find your peace with them, and then also use this peace to empower yourself. Anyway, you can find this info in the description. But the way I explain this idea of why does something exist rather than nothing is through zero ontology. The idea is that if nothing can exist, it implies the existence of everything. So if the number 0 exists, it implies the existence of all possible numbers. So if you can have a 0, you can have everything else, because it is implied by each other, as 0 is a symbol for nothing, but also kind of the example that if you can symbolize nothingness, then nothing also exists as like something. So everything and nothing becomes kind of like the same. And again, I go way deeper on this on like other places. And then on the layer of, freedom, well, freedom is on the cosmological level, the possibility of anything to exist the way it exists right now. So all these possibilities being realized are only possible if the universe is kind of chaotic, like chaotically free. If you can create water molecules and all of these different atoms interacting with each other, then it requires a weird sense of chaos and freedom at the same time on different levels. And then to let these elements of chaos and order interact with each other and see what happens. But you need to be able to just let it go and see what happens. If you were to try to control it and change it, then you're not free anymore and you would limit reality in a certain way. So then, how could the universe be free if you can't hurt the innocent? If we can't fight wars against each other, then how could we find reunion? If we can't betray, how can we forgive? If we can't hate, what does it mean or how does it change the nature of love? If there isn't an up, how can there be a down? And so forth. Reality exists through dualities. And if you want to remove only one side from any duality, the world breaks apart. Or at least you limit it significantly or in an incomprehensible way. So you force reality to be one way forever if you don't allow for the possibilities of its opposite, which is what humans try to do when we cling to our experiences and get stuck in our ego loops. We don't want reality to change when we're comfortable, and then we cling to it, but reality is change. So it's a fuel for more suffering. And there's always potential for something new because reality is ultimately free to keep destroying itself and rediscovering itself. And from the position of the finite singular self, it feels very threatening and also kind of evil when horrible things can happen out of nowhere and you're just not at fault. But if you look at how everything is like, you're all the time in all your conditionings across interacting with things that are not in your control. Like you are not in control to most extent about the politics of your place. You're not controlling the family you have been born in. You're not in control of how other people treat you. So you can see how everything is kind of free to act how they act. And you can also see how people try to control each other within that freedom all the time. And we also know that when we see a wolf eating a lamb, we don't think of the wolf really as evil. Like maybe on this existential level, it's like, oh, why is this possible? Why is it like this? But we do understand that animals act like out of their instincts and we don't actually judge them for it. Like it is very weird to do so. But we humans are so intelligent and aware of the suffering of the other side. Like we possess a sort of higher state of consciousness because we are aware of what is happening on the other side, so that we want to impose morality onto our universe and onto other people so that we can control the framing. And I do think that is part of a larger intelligence too. Like it's not just egoic vanity to see, hey, if all of this is real, let's reduce suffering. It is born of deep wisdom and compassion, and it allows you to deeper connect with everything else. While also recognizing that on the highest level, you need this freedom in order to have the possibility to recognize, hey, this is not good, let's do something else. So, and then on this third layer, you have the tenet of unconditional love as the highest good. So reality is unconditional love. If you were a god and get a hint of your own infinite potential, like just imagine you're a god, you get a hint of your infinite potential, then what would the act of highest possible love be? The act of love would be to explore all possibility states of your infinite potential without personal bias. It would be a selfless act, a self-sacrificial act, you can say. Without personal interference, trying to make it into, just everything that is beneficial for you, but surrendering to all cosmological possibilities, then you truly create a reality where everything is possible and you love everything unconditionally. So you let go of the need of control and let reality be what it is. So in this, mental framework, it's not trying to create evil. It's not wanting the innocent beings to suffer, but it allows for it to happen because this is the only way it can actually love everything unconditionally. Because as I said in these previous 2 points, which point all to the same, if you remove one thing, you reduce the possibility for another. Evil is what becomes possible in a reality that does not control everything into obedience. It's like Satan having the freedom to split away from God, or Jesus being nailed at the cross as like the symbol of pure innocence, being nailed or like being sacrificed to save humanity. You can find these symbols across all of human history in so many cultures. Sacrifice is what gives everything meaning. In this moment that you are here, you are sacrificing all possible state spaces of consciousness to be here now. You're not a wolf, and you're not a lamb, you're not a plant, and you are also not in the shower right now, you're not dreaming, you're not eating. I mean, maybe you are, who knows. But you are choosing to be here now from everything else that you could be. So you must be sacrificing all other possibilities. So what is the likelihood from all possible possibilities that you are here now? The statistical likelihood, if you think about all positions of the universe, which the universe is pretty big, and then if you are a bit more esoteric about it, you might even think about multiverses or places that have completely different physical laws than this place. But of course, now this gets into some hyperspace stuff. But all of this is the case, and even then, you are fully yourself. 100%. You are committed in being this configuration instead of any other configuration. So there's no outside from you. There's no division from you and everything that exists. Reality is owning absolute all possible state spaces equally because everything is fully itself. Your phone is your phone. The temperature in the room is the temperature in the room. The video that I've created here is exactly like how it is, right? There's full commitment to what it is the moment it appears as it is. So this utter full ownership of all state spaces of existence is the quality of unconditional love. And the only thing that really fights against this is, the human ego, who is so overwhelmed by this prospect of unconditional acceptance for all things, so overwhelmed by the inevitability of being itself, and the fact that everything must run its course, that it cowers in fear. And in this fear, it looks at the world and looks at the freedom and looks at everything that it can't control and doesn't like and say it is evil and it shouldn't exist. And by doing so, it creates its own little hell. The beauty about what I'm saying here underneath, and this is what's so hard to grasp for, most people from the intellect. But what I'm saying here is that reality in its structural nature as a kind of fact has a loving core underneath. This core isn't owned by anybody. It is disappearing and procreating and connecting with the fabric of everything that is. Let go of your need to change reality and control it. See the beauty in each fleeting moment passing by. It does not need to be suffering. The suffering is a byproduct, the resistance of what is actually the case. I'm not asking you to adopt a philosophy, and I'm not asking you to just believe what I say. I'm asking you to directly look at the structure of this world.